We're here to help.
You always do that.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's March 16, 2021 regular session meeting of the Joplin Schools Board of Education. May I have a roll call, Pat?
Lori Musser.
Here.
Derek Gander.
Present.
Dr. Michael Joseph.
Here.
Dr. Debbie Ford.
Present.
Jeff Pope.
Present.
Brent Jordan.
Present.
Sheriff Dermott.
Here. Thank you, Pat. Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, if you've had an opportunity to review your agenda, I'd accept a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our agenda as presented. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That brings us to our reports. We'll start with our celebrations this evening. We have a flourishing digital artist. Please join us in congratulating senior Kayla Chambers. A piece of her artwork titled Flourish will be on display in the State Senate Hall exhibit for the next year. Her artwork was chosen by State Senator Bill White to represent all of Senate District 32. Kayla created this digital piece in the new digital art class at Joplin High School. Great job, Kayla. Joplin FFA Proficiency Awards. Proficiency supervised agricultural experiences are based on the following. Project spans over 1 to 3 years of work outside of school hours required, knowledge and skills gained with SAE project, leadership participation within FFA and other activities. Graydon Cravens, a 10th grader, received first place recognition for turf grass management. Emily Nelson in 11th grade, first grade in specialty animal. Luke Wieselmeyer, an 11th grader, first place forest management. Avery Wald, an 11th grader, third place in agricultural mechanics repair and maintenance, and fourth place for food service. And James Katzfee, a 12th grader, third place for agricultural services and fourth place in poultry production. First place recipients will be competing at the state level in April. Congratulations to all these hardworking students. Congratulations to the following Spelling Bee champions from Joplin schools. They will be honored in a special supplement published by the Joplin Globe in April. Molly Greer, fourth grader at Columbia. Tara Sanborn, a fifth grader at Eastmoreland. James Bend, a fifth grader at Irving. Alice Curry, a fourth grader at Jefferson. Grayson Heritage, a fifth grader at Kelsey Norman. Indigo Dillahay, a fifth grader at McKinley. Laramie James, a fourth grader at Royal Heights. Reed Hewlett, a fifth grader at Soaring Heights. Kemper Lloyd Miller, a fourth grader at Stapleton. Britt Tabo, a sixth grader at East Middle School. Allie Modris, a sixth grader at South Middle School. Great job, guys. Way to spell. Super speakers. The Joplin Speech and Debate Team recently competed in the MSH SAA District 5 competition. We are proud to announce that Joplin Schools had state qualifiers in each debate event and 4 speech events. Please congratulate the following state qualifiers. Whitley Welshon, first place dramatic interpretation, district champion, state qualifier. Ben Smith and Dane Triplett, second place policy debate, state qualifiers. Gina Compton, second place Lincoln Douglas debate, state qualifier. Ben Smith, second place international extemporaneous speaking, state qualifier. Cora Wesley, second place poetry reading, state qualifier. Zach Smith, third place original oratory, state qualifier. Whitley Welshon and Zach Smith, fourth place public forum debate, state qualifiers. Great job, students. Alice in Wonderland Jr. East Middle School students began preparing this production a year ago. By patience, hard work, and remaining focused and flexible, the show did go on. A generous donation from the Angel Guild of Joplin help provide the needed face mics and masks needed for safety protocols. A great team of students and teachers worked tirelessly on this wonderific musical. That brings us to the superintendent's data reports. Dr. Moss?
Yes, sir. The first item on that report is our construction update, and we have some gentlemen coming to the table that you know, Aaron Height and Chad Greer. I think we saw a Greer up here in a spelling bee.
Yeah, she was
Yes.
pretty proud of that. We're proud of her.
Picked after her mother.
After her mother, of course.
That's exactly what I said.
He did say that.
What is your health and dental care?
Well, thank you all for the opportunity to provide an update this evening. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to kind of take a look at this as you came into the room. I'll lift them up and kind of show you, but we've included them in the presentation for your review. As a reminder, these are the renderings that show some of the exterior materials. We'll go through them, and at the end, we'll show you a slide that has where all these go on the various parts of the building. But leading into this, one of the things that we did is we drove around and we looked throughout Joplin at a lot of the historic buildings for commonalities in the way brick is used. A lot of the buildings, the majority of the buildings in our area are patterned bricks, and that's, as I said, fairly typical. What we find is that brick color variation creates its own kind of texture. And we thought that was really kind of a key component in the overall design, considering that we have solid metal color panels, the red, the gray, and the silver, and then that brick would be a nice contrast with those kind of smooth, solid colored panels. So that led us to a number of bricks, and I'll hold up the one that we have for final selection here with the metal panel color. This is a blended brick that is 50% red, 25% gray, and 25% this flash tan color. Okay? And we'll show it to you in kind of relation to some of the other materials.
And that's what's held up in these pictures on the lower left too, right?
This is the
That
exact
same
sample that's
panel.
included in that photograph. Yep. We even held it up against this building here, and it wasn't too far off.
Yeah. In the daylight outside, it looks different than in here too.
Yeah. Then we've included, it's kind of hard to tell on the screen, but the Joplin Eagle red color is a Pantone color, and we've been back and forth with various shades, and this is the shade that we landed on that we think is the closest match to that Pantone color. The storefront and window systems for all of the whole building will be a clear anodized, a silver finish. And then this is the ribbed metal panel, and there are different variations of this. Some have the kind of the skinnier flutes, some of them have wider ones, and when you put them together, it creates this randomized kind of variegated appearance in the metal panel, and I'll show you that when we get to the overview at the end. The base material, we started with a solid cast stone base on the building, but because the site slopes, well, in every direction, we had a hard time with these larger pieces kind of following and working with the grade. So we're going to use a solid brick, this brick here. This will be the cast stone piece that goes above it to transition to the pattern brick above. But the brick at the bottom will have the grout color the same as the brick, so it will kind of blend in and look, fairly sturdy for the base. Okay, let me get that before that drops. The other metal panel that you'll see is this charcoal gray, and that separates the windows. You'll see that in the image at the end. Here you got the brick sample, the cast stone, and again, we've tried to locate where all these pieces occur throughout the building. You can see the gray at the bottom in separating the windows. The red at the canopy and the awning and the parent drop-off area, the cast stone base, and then the rib metal panels. Any questions about what we've brought?
How wide is the base? How many bricks, how many cords of brick?
It's a 3'8".
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3'8".
Looks good.
Any questions? Okay, well, we'll leave these here if you guys want to take a look at them. I don't know, maybe Carrie, I can get them from you later, or if you guys want to look at them after the meeting, or we can take them. It's up to you. Okay, now for a budget and schedule update. The last time we met with you, we were in the middle of design development, at 50% design development. We are now at 50% construction documents. A few weeks ago, we sent Crossland an updated set of plans that they've been tirelessly combing through and working to update the overall budget. So I'll let Aaron kind of tell you where we're at.
All right, so this is the 50% construction documents. Based on last time, that was the 100% design development documents. We came at $25,247,000. This time around, we've gone up, mostly due to market fluctuations. I don't know if anybody's put some fuel in your gas tank, but a lot's related to that. A lot of steel. Lumber prices have jumped by double. So it's very unfortunate that we're coming to you now during that fluctuation, but that is current market value right now. So we're at $26,116,000. So that's a over budget of $868,000, which is about 3.4% over budget. That being said, I want to bring this to the board's attention. We still have our construction and design / estimating contingencies in that budget. And we also have the owner contingency at $600,000 as well, for a total of $1.2 million in contingencies. Also something to bring up, Kelsey Norman, at this stage in the game, we were approximately $135,000 over budget. I know it's quite a smaller job, but in comparison, that is 4.6% over budget. On bid day, we were $222,000 under budget. That's under budget by 7.6%. So times have changed a little bit, but we are still expecting, with the economy of scale as well as competitiveness on bid day, numbers will go down. So already gone over this a little bit, but building is relatively the same. There's nothing that's changed. The increase is almost totally due to market volatility. It's kind of amazing. So the majority of the cost increases are structural steel, as you can see, concrete, fire suppression, plumbing, HVAC was a big one, and electrical was another big one. Copper has doubled in price over the last several months. So, huge fluctuations.
So, what are our next steps? As Aaron kind of alluded to, at this point in the game with Kelsey Norman, we were over budget and then came in on bid day under budget. So there's a little hope associated with that. And I think it holds true that through competitive bidding, we should see that these numbers refine. And based on conversations we've had with people in our area, there's a lot of interest in this project, and hopefully that translates to savings. We have package one bidding on Thursday. Package one represents approximately $1.7 million in this budget, and that is for the dirt work and underground utilities. And I think for us that Thursday is going to be a good indicator for things to come in March, or May, excuse me. Based on that, then we're forging ahead with construction documents. The entire team has our heads down, and we're drawing furiously to get the drawings completed within the next 7 weeks and issue them to Crossland on May 5th. And in between now and then, we're going to continue to look for opportunities to really refine the scope and some of those costs associated with it. As I mentioned, we believe that competitive bidding will create opportunities for savings, similar to what happened at Kelsey Norman. And then one thing that we briefly discussed, and I think Dr. Moss has an update on that, but relative to the HVAC system, so I'll let you take it.
Yes, and we've talked about additional funding that has been coming up through us through the CARES Act and whatnot. One of the things they talk about in allowable cost, and we have to remember this is one-time categorical money, so we have to spend it wisely and be good stewards of our dollars. But there is a potential, and that's why I had Chad list both of these. The entire system as designed for the Dover site is just over $2 million. We broke out the ionization component of that because we went with the ionization units for increased fresh air, which is one of the things that for COVID mitigation was recommended. That's $500,000. All that to say, we're going to aggressively pursue as much as we can ways to offset. And then with the memory that we also have been planning in our cap outlay for the project.
Okay. So that's really it for our budget update. Are there any questions that Aaron or I might be able to answer?
How long after the bid goes out do you get results?
Fairly quickly. I mean, we've got a spreadsheet set up that on bid day, we'll know approximately where we're at that day. We did the same thing with Kelsey Norman. We were able to sit down right after and know within reason, within 1% or so, where we're at.
Now, they spend a few days after that kind of going over the bids and vetting them to make sure that they've got all the scope associated with the project included. Just a lot of phone calls.
Lots of phone calls.
So next time we see you, if the head's hanging when you come in, we know it's...
No. Heads held high.
And our groundbreaking is scheduled tentatively.
Thank you for that cue.
Okay.
Schedule update.
I didn't realize I was queuing your
Yes,
next one.
that was perfect. So again, Package 1 has been issued, and the bid opening is this Thursday at 2 p.m. I believe it's here,
Yes,
correct?
it is here. It's in the cafeteria.
In the cafeteria. Construction starting in April, once we get all the contracts in place for Package 1. Package 2 issued in May, and then construction being slated for completion August 2022. And as a reminder, the groundbreaking is set for April 7th at 11 a.m. Well, thank you for the opportunity. And
Thank you.
Yes.
do you want me to leave these ready to look? Does anybody want me to leave them to look at, or I can gather them later, or I can take them with me?
I just want to see the ribbed metal.
Sure.
That's...
Yeah, they're pretty
Is that, is it made on site? Do they run a machine to roll it on site?
No, it's prefabricated.
Pre-cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it attach?
It's, I think it's hidden fasteners. Isn't it?
Yeah, hidden fasteners, so it locks together like that. So
Right.
there'd be another piece, but everything is kind of concealed and hidden underneath there.
You'll never see it.
It's a really nice product, very durable, and doesn't bend easily like some thinner stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next superintendent data report item is health and dental care insurance reports.
Okay, the health and dental, the district has spent $4,629,925.56 of the $7.4 million budget. I mentioned in the past couple of months about some large claims that were coming through, so you probably, if you look at page 3, Eric, if we go to that, you will notice a big increase in, let's see, go back one page, I think. I probably can't see it, but there's a big increase this month in expenditures. And compared to this time last year, we have an increase of like 587,000. So there, we did mention there was a couple of large claims, but overall, our fund balance is still, we're comfortable with it at this point in time. The dental plan continues to perform just as we expected. But I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
And then you also have some financial statements to share with us.
If you would, go to the one that I like, Eric, the single page that does a comparison with this year's budget, working budget with last year's final budget. And really, it's tracking along just as we had planned. Our local revenue is on track, slightly ahead percentage-wise of where we were last year. And some of that's due to the fact that we will increase our revenue because the taxes that had been paid for the TIF redevelopment zone, but going to the city to pay off the bonds, as the intent of that, started coming to the district. So that's why our budget amount was greater than our actual received. If you look at the county, we're right where we should be. If you look at state, I might point out that last year we had $26,946,000, and we did have in excess of $1 million that was restricted from the state last year, so it lowered it. So we had this year an anticipated restriction, and I had concerns about whether they would be able to prorate it, and so we actually budgeted less than last year. When the governor announced 2 to 3 weeks ago that those restricted funds were being released, when you see next month, you will see that budgeted amount. Well, you won't see it till we do the June, but that number now will go up to, state revenue will go up by over $1 million. So we're going to be getting the amount of revenue that we should be getting. And federal numbers are high, largely because of the CARES funding that the district has been receiving through there. So the main thing is we don't have any revenues lagging. We don't have any expenses that are surging ahead of what we expected. And when you compare to last year, the budget is performing as we had anticipated. You might notice that debt service was expended, and really, when we did the budget review, we issued those bonds last year in August, and I just failed to tell Shelley, hey, we need a budget for that. We will correct these. We talked to the auditors. There's no issue with that. There's $300 and some thousand that were paid in March the 1st, but they were actually paid in February 26th, was it?
Yes.
Because they did it before the month closed out, since March 1st fell on the week. So that's the only thing, and that will all be corrected. It will still show up as a deficit till we do a budget amendment, but it's taken care of. The revenues are there. It's just covering expenses that we knew were there. So. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Thank you, Ms. Toft. There being no further questions, we'll go to our public comments regarding posted agenda items. Members of the public that wish to make a public comment regarding a posted action item must complete and request to address the Board of Education. We have one of those this evening, Glendola Flake. Ms. Flake, if you will approach the microphone, please give your name and address. Please do not identify any district personnel or student by name or by any other identifiable information. As a matter of policy, we give you 3 minutes to speak.
I just have a form.
Okay.
Sure, don't let me. They might run out a little short. My name is Stola Michelle Blake, and I am here to represent numerous organizations and also individuals within our community who have students within the Joplin School District. So the reason for coming here today is to speak on the agenda item of professional development. We believe that professional development needs to include heavily diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Across the nation, we are seeing school districts being intentional and being intentional about addressing issues to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our unique, diverse students as we become increasingly diverse as a community. A major step and a show that you are truly invested in diversity efforts in our school district would be to hire a professional that spends their full time invested in focusing on our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. I came here 2 years ago with this same request. I had 15 letters from organizations within our community. We'll re-engage those soon. But for now, I come here to represent Joplin for Justice, the Emancipation Celebration Committee, NAACP, JOMO Pride, Carthage Progressive, and Pittsburgh Progressives. You may wonder why we would invite outsiders to be a part of this call to action. We believe that Joplin is the hub of our region, and that when we set a good example, and that when we get intentional about addressing the needs of our diverse students, so will others. We hope that Joplin will stand up and cause a domino effect of increased intentional efforts and resources put forward towards diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in our schools. So here with me today, I mentioned Joplin for Justice. We are a network of engaged community members in the Joplin-Greater area that are invested as using our collective voice to address issues related to justice. The NAACP Joplin chapter is here as well. We have representation of all these committees here today. The NAACP Joplin chapter has a mission to secure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights to eliminate race-based discrimination and ensure the health and well-being of all persons. We also have JOMO Pride, is a local nonprofit organization that hosts fundraisers and community events throughout the years to increase access and support for LGBT community, their allies, and partners. We have Emancipation Celebration Committee here today. It's a local nonprofit organization that for over 100 years has hosted a cultural event in Ewart Park to celebrate and highlight the African American freedom and achievements to promote cultural diversity and respect for all cultures. Carthage Progressives and Pittsburgh Progressives, they are here as neighbors wanting to join the effort, and then we will help them again later. They are advocacy groups that have recently formed following the Black Lives Matter movement. Race, disability, religion, class, income level, immigration status. These are only a few of the diverse populations that we have going to school within our district. I want you to ask yourself, even on your board today, are we representing our population well? Do we have decision makers at the table who understand the cultures and the students that we serve? And are we being intentional within our efforts to have programming, practices, and policies that are the best practices to ensure the most welcoming and inclusive environments that we can have in our school? I think we have work to do. So this call to action, again, is to ask you to hire a full-time diversity, equity, and inclusion professional. Not someone that takes it on for a stipend, not someone who does it part-time. We want to see real and serious investment into this effort. So, as shown by research, across the nation, disparities of outcomes are real for people from diverse populations. There's absolutely no reason for us to believe that Joplin School District is immune to the disparities that we see nationwide. We saw Kansas City area, St. Louis area, Springfield area, all of them invest and hire diversity officers and find what we expected when they did. The assessment and evaluation showed issue and disparities of outcome. Just doing a Google search, I can tell you that Joplin has work to do within our school district as well. Let us follow their lead. Let us stand up, be proactive.
Thank you, Ms. Flake, for coming
If I
tonight.
can have 2 more minutes, please. Thank you. So again, we ask that to meet your professional development goals that you hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer to start in the fall of 2021. We ask that you recognize your community members that are here, the organizations that are here to be heard. We ask that you begin to bring our voices to the table so that you may utilize our skills and knowledge to know what our diverse populations need. We ask for accountability. We ask for transparency. We ask to do the right thing, not only in the face of litigation, but because it's the right thing to do. We ask you to provide a liaison, a point of contact so that our organizations can reach out and learn exactly what's happening within Joplin schools and exactly what progress is going to be made. So we'll return, and I hope we return for celebration. I hope that we can return and say that Joplin schools, they have recognized the way that our entire nation has, that we have a need to meet. And we are going to stand up, we are going to take the best care of our students, and we are going to focus on the most vulnerable right now. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Flake. Board members, that brings us to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to
Make a
approve?
motion to approve?
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our consent agenda as presented. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, that takes us to our regular agenda. 95% group intervention materials. Ms. Maughan. Hi, Sarah.
I am going to invite my friends up here from Irving Elementary. We have Mr. Atkins, assistant principal, Mr. DePoe, principal, Susan Knapps with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. No, shoes. I always think those are Red Hot. Simple Simpsons. Yes, and then Julie High. Susan and Julie are Title I teachers with Irving Elementary. And so I want to kind of focus our attention to, oftentimes in board meetings, we do a lot of business, right? That's the job of the board. And tonight, hopefully, this brings us back front and center of why we're here, our school district, to educate our kids. And we have some really exciting stuff to share. I would ask, Mr. President, if we can take 1 and 2 together. They are 2 separate items, but all around 95% through. So we want to tell you about some great things going on at Irving to expand across our district. And these ladies worked hard to put a video together for you. And then Mr. Cole will share some of the data. So Eric, if you would share our video with the group.
What it was like before 95%. I don't know if you feel the same way I do, which I think you do. We were just always scrambling to find good interventions to work with our kids on. And tough time doing that. We had endless conversations about what are the we try something. Our kids would go, we just have endless conversations. And then we go to the district meetings and we have conversations with the other type of everybody would be asking the same thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing it? We're all sure the same thing, but we're all getting it. And I can tell you, I almost do it, doing this. This is repetitive. I mean, the skills that you work on, it's over and over and over again. And just trying to find those interventions. I dreaded it a lot of times. I was just like, I wasn't enjoying myself. I wasn't either. It's hard to enjoy yourself when your kids are making right. We're not seeing what's good. It makes it hard. And we're supposed to be on a team. We're not working like an on team. It just wasn't matching. So it wasn't.
Eric, can you turn it up at all?
We were looking for something. We were looking for a program. We had used other programs, but we were really looking for a good program geared toward intervention and what intervention teachers do. I was at the Southwest Center. They had invited some of the teachers from different districts, and they had put different programs, just kind of a snapshot, on the table. We were looking through several different brochures, and the one that I picked up was 95% group. It was the multi-syllable, which is the part for the upper grade kids. And I took that and I started reading it, and I loved what I was reading. And I'm just getting very excited. And I get home and I get on the internet and I'm looking up this Susan Hall 95% group. I get on YouTube, start watching her videos. I come to school, I tell you about it.
Yes.
And
I first thought, oh, Susan, another thing. Here we go. But then I started looking, and I thought, what? This might be it. This might be something. So we went and talked to Josh, and we told him we think this is it. And he listened to us, and we asked to go to the first.
went to the first workshop in Kansas City, and we were just awestruck. I mean, we were so excited. We knew we had finally found what we needed. That this was geared toward intervention teachers. And of course, on the way home, like we always do, when we go on a workshop and we come home, what did we do, Julie?
We're fired.
Fired.
We're ready to go.
Oh my.
And we came back, and we convinced Josh.
Yes, and he bought pieces of the program, and we didn't have PD, so we were going to work through this, and then we started using it, and we were starting to see some good data.
We were, and we finally had a good assessment, and we could pinpoint exactly where our kids were. And then we had an explicit lesson to be able to teach that skill, and we had all the materials that we needed to do it. And it wasn't a guessing game anymore. We knew exactly where we needed to start, how we were going to do it, and where we needed to go.
I'm telling you, I was so excited to come to school. Get my head comes with this little kit. Everything's in it. I don't have to go run around and look for things. Everything's right there. I was so excited to come. I'm still excited. I love my groups now. It's so much fun to come watch my kids and watch them move through those intervention, those skills that they need, and to see them move on to phonics from phonological awareness. It has just been a wonderful journey.
It has. Let's talk about letters.
Let's talk about it. I love letters.
I do too. And how
We don't laugh in fashion.
we're utilizing 95%. We're doing our study in letters.
Letters?
Oh my.
Wow. I have learned so much that I did not learn in college, and I wish that I would have, because it would have, it's making me a better teacher.
Absolutely.
The information that I'm getting from letters, but
We're learning the science.
definitely, yes, it is. And I think when I was in that training, the first couple of trainings that we had, and when they came to a specific part where it was showing, what a good lesson should look like.
Yes.
And it's like, what? On the board, she brings up the lesson format, and what does it say at the bottom?
95% group.
Yes, permission for 95% group, and we are like high-fiving in the air.
Across the room.
Oh
So
my, we were
excited.
so excited, because we knew then, affirmation. We are doing what's best for kids. We've heard that and heard that. Now we know.
Now we know.
We're doing it.
We heard it, and we're doing it. Letters was the why. This is why we teach kids this way. And 95% has been our how. This is how we do it. And it's just been so neat to be able to work both of those at the same time.
It's good. Well, over this past year and a half, I mean, we lost a quarter, last year because of the pandemic, but just this year and a half that we've been working with the kids with letters, there's just been so many amazing stories, with our kids, because some of them we've worked with them since kindergarten, but now they're second and third grade. And, so a story that, I'm kind of just comes to my mind is a little first grader. And I worked with her all through kindergarten before 95. And every day, I would work with her by herself, very intense, intensive work. And she just wasn't moving. I hated it, I felt like, I think that she knew she wasn't making it either, just her attitude just seemed down, And they went ahead and moved her on to first grade. And this is her second year in first grade. And so when we got 95% group last year, we started working with her, and we started seeing growth. And this kid, we had her flat for problem solving. Yes. And we just kind of thought, well, she would probably go to special ed. Yes. That's how we had her. Yes, we did. But working those interventions with her, and her first grade teacher was being trained in letters, and so she was bringing in that information and working that in her classroom, and this child began to move. We started having conversations in the hallway with the classroom teacher going, look, she's moving. And now she is at grade level. We don't even pull her. She's not one that we even look. She's doing great. And I'm just, another, just amazing to know how this program is just a great success for kids that have just sat for so long, and now they are moving.
I'm working with a third grader who we worked with in kindergarten, we worked with in first grade, and we worked with in second grade. And I started using 95 this year. And I watched him start at the bottom of the continue and work his way up almost to grade level. And to watch him read, to see that he has made more growth in this 1 year than he has in 3 years prior. It just feels so good that, that we're helping these kids and we're giving them success. And I know for him, he feels more confident about himself. And I can just put down anything in front of him down to read, and he just doesn't lose. It's just, we're so grateful.
It is. It's just very, very thankful for 95%.
Okay, I want to talk about the sheet that was passed around very quickly with you. What we did when we started the 95% group is we wanted to find a way how to track the data to see how we can see kids moving and improving. So we started numbering each little mini lesson in 95, starting at 1.1 all the way to 8, to show the growth the kids are making every 2 weeks. And it's a 2-week cycle. They come with the ladies and work once a day for 2 straight weeks, and then they assess and see where they're at, and then move them forward if they're ready, and if not, they stay in that same skill. As you can see on this sheet here, almost every kid is just shooting straight up. I mean, it's incredible seeing the amount of growth kids are having in 95% group. And I will tell you what I've seen as a principal is kids not frustrated with reading. Kids are going and getting this intervention, and they're not frustrated because they can't read. Because 95% group actually means that 95% of our kids can learn how to read. And this program, and it is a program, I will say this, it is a program, and it does take dedicated teachers to implement and to care about kids learning how to read. And that's what we have. We're lucky at Irving, we have that. But this program has really changed the dynamic of our building, and I'm very, very looking forward to what's going to look like in the future across the district.
And I will just say, these two ladies combined teaching experience well over 30 years, easily. And their job as an intervention teacher is to take these students who are not benchmarking and help support them to get that through. And year after year, you heard Julie say she's working with the third graders. She worked with them in kindergarten, in first grade, and second grade. And the growth that she's seen in third grade doubles what she was trying, because our teachers were working really, really hard, and we just weren't making momentum. So with the letters work that I brought you a couple of years ago, believe it or not, that's been 2 years ago, they started that last school year, and then moving into the intervention with this material, this has truly, truly been a grassroots effort. Our Title I teachers are begging us for what you see in front of you tonight. We are asking tonight for you to scale this across our district for all Title I teachers to have that. So one item is for materials for the teachers to have the necessary supplies that they need, and the second item is for intentional, explicit coaching and professional development from 95%, and that starts as early as this spring, working with our principals as leaders of how to get this going. So Very excited. This is a game changer. I really feel like it is if we address primary literacy. It is something we need to improve on, and this is something that has proven through the data collection. It is working, and I hope here in a few years our primary literacy is going to blow your socks off. I would ask you tonight to approve action item 1 and 2. The first one in the amount of $170,445 being paid through Title II carryover, and the second item for professional development in the amount of $70,350, also to be paid through Title II carryover. Any questions for the Irving team and myself?
Do you know if anybody else in the region is using 95%?
We have 3 other buildings within the district, not to the scale and not as long as Irving, but we have 3 other buildings who have dabbled in it. Regionally, there's some over in Kansas, and there's some up towards the Kansas City area. In our immediate area, I will tell you, districts are reaching out to us right now in our immediate area, asking questions. So, the phonics bundle that I brought you for summer, that we're going to be using for summer school, we've had a couple of districts since then in our area reach out. What is this about? So, it's definitely getting out there, but I would say right now it's more than Kansas and then up north in for Missouri.
And I've had West Plains superintendent contact me and ask me how we implement the program. So I've kind of talked with him how we've done that as well.
I'm thinking a couple things. Maybe there's somebody that's 2 or 3 years into it that could give us advice on what they would have done starting. And then second, I'm thinking, which districts do we want to hire primary teachers from?
Yeah. Yes, and I will tell you, this team at a recent workshop ended up becoming the presenters because I feel like they're probably a little farther ahead than a typical school that would get started with this, just from the stuff that they put together. So, but yes, very good.
Sarah, can you speak about how SPED and Bill and things you have to use that too?
Yes, thank you. So this is also an intervention material that our special education teachers, as well as our ELL, this is not just solely for, gen ed student. This is the beautiful thing of 95%, and I'm a huge advocate of this at the primary level. The teacher is the teacher. They make sure that they have the appropriate supports, the appropriate material, but research shows 95% of students should be able to learn how to read. It's just a matter of doing the right things to teach these kids how to read. And we're seeing from the progress that yes, it is true, and we're finding kids that have hit some roadblocks are now, they are no longer on our radar. This will become part of our RTI system. That is something we have been working really hard to try to improve, and this is hitting home run for primary literacy for us. That's really good.
So Sarah, this isn't whole classroom instruction, it's just all geared towards RTI.
We are focusing on RTI, yes. Now there is within core, there's a lot that our teachers are picking up on and learning. So as we expand, our current group of letters, that's essentially what happened. That core group, which was 95% intervention teachers, they were getting this why, they were getting the what, and then they were having these conversations about, okay, what does that look like when I actually go back to work in my classroom? Mm-hmm. And so it has really been, the PLC and the collaboration that's going to come from the LIT group is going to be amazing. And then as our team that's currently in will start to become facilitators in their buildings next year, as classroom teachers start to see, they're going to be learning that what and why. Then they're going to be watching title and watch these kids move that they never thought would be moving. And then that's what's happening currently with some of our classrooms at Irving. The teachers then start to pick up some of those strategies and embed that into core as well. So overall, it's a pretty comprehensive, common language, great momentum that we're seeing in the core classroom as well as intervention.
How is that data being shared with other teachers? Is it, you remember the boards in the teacher's lounge where we'd have every single student up there?
Yes.
And we could watch them? Is that similar?
Title I spreadsheets, which has every single student on it. Elementary, they all track their individual data. And then different buildings have different strategies of how they do that as far as moving the students. Irving specifically, and you guys can add to it, but their teams, when they're looking, this is what they're using, is this graph.
Right.
This kind of, they put that together, so that's something we'll work with principals and our Title I teachers to have consistency and a highlight. Joplin is extremely mobile, right? Our kids move around, especially our kids who typically need intervention support. They move around. And probably one of the greatest compliments that Julie, I was visiting with her and Susan a couple of weeks ago, she got a student from another school in the district. Title I teacher called her, said, hey, Susie is on a 2.1. So guess what Julie did? Picked her up on a 2.1. We wasted no time with making sure that these kids are getting systematic sequential intervention to improve our reading. So we're probably nerding out a little bit because we're so excited. We're ready to get going. So.
I would make a motion that we approve the 95% group intervention material and the professional development.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve items G1 and G2 on our agenda. I want to thank the ladies for the presentation that was provided. It was entertaining and informative. Thank you for your efforts. It's clear that this is a very important agenda item for our teachers and students. With that, I'd ask that you please vote.
I was
Yes.
impressed
Yes.
with your passion for what you're doing for kids.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
The adoption of the Joplin Schools 2021-2022 calendar. Ms. Mwangi.
Yes. So you should have received a draft calendar within your packet. There is not a waiver for, if you remember, we had statutory requirements for starting school. So the earliest that we can start school next year is August 23rd. So that is the date that you will see on the calendar. This calendar looks very, very similar to the current calendar this school year. So you will see teachers coming back on the 18th with our new teachers returning on the 16th. You'll find a couple of half days in there as well as some different holidays. I will point out something unique would be February 14th off, and then the 21st is a professional development day. That is just how the calendar fell. Holidays fell really odd for this next school year, but I would recommend that the board approve the school calendar for the 21-22 school year.
I move that we approve the 21-22 calendar as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we approve adoption of the Joplin Schools 2021-2022 calendar as presented. Is there any discussion on this action item? Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Oh, you're staying with us here. Replace with 21 desktop computers for FTC Engineering Graphics Secondary Program.
Yeah, so this is something from FTC. Dave Rockers had shared some insight with this particular item. These machines are on here 7. They're their most advanced machines due to the software that's required. They're not replacing the dual monitors with these, but they do need to replace the computers. So I would ask for the board to approve the lowest bid of Dell, $20,642.79.
I'd move to replace 21 desktop computers as presented.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this expenditure. Is there any discussion? Please.
100% reimbursed by grant.
100% reimbursed by grant is what I'm informed of. It would be difficult for us not to accept
Yes.
this. Please vote.
Go vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. That brings us to FTC Adult Practical Nursing Textbook for the 2021-2022 academic year. Ms. Moss, Dr. Moss.
Yes, and
Pardon?
that's fine. We have representatives from our Franklin Tech nursing program here tonight if we have questions. So if you ladies want to come on up, and I'll start by saying that You accept about 40 students per year into your program. And I want to point out in your pertinent facts, which were in your board packet, because this is really important to know about any nursing program, is what is ultimately the certification pass rate. And it looks like from your narrative, it's 98.75% or greater NCLEX pass rate, and I believe that should be recognized.
Yes, ma'am.
So good job. So this is for using program dollars, not a grant, but fee program dollars, to approve the request to purchase textbook packages.
That's correct, at no cost to the district. So, I know.
Are these consumable textbooks, or you use them year after year?
No, these are the students.
Okay.
Yes, these are the student textbooks. And then one of the reasons we have been working with finance for the last few years, because of the textbook package, that this is Katie Bozarth, the program coordinator, and her instructors, they look at the curriculum every year to keep updated and to ensure that they are meeting the competencies required to pass the NCLEX for their students to become licensed practical nurses. And with a July 1 start for the new fiscal year, the start date of their program, the number of textbooks required, and the number of students for 40 students, that didn't give ample time to have the textbooks come in and to ensure that the instructors and Ms. Bozarth were ready and prepared, because I believe you start the first day of school, they hit the ground running.
Yes. So August 4th, we are in the classroom, geared up, ready to go.
And so with the board's permission and the assistance from finance, we would like to go ahead. We have the textbook package ready. We'd like to put in our purchase order to get those ordered, get them in, and get started for our new class.
And I noticed also, and I failed to mention it when we started to introduce your item, there's another item we could take together with this, because it's the same vendor, and it's for your predictor software that helps them prepare for the test as well, correct?
Correct.
So you could take that if the board so chooses as one motion.
Yeah, I think we can.
I'd accept a motion on items G5 and 6. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. In connection with these action items, pardon me. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. That keeps us with Dr. Moss and FTC Adult Simulator Mannequin and Instructor Training.
And this is a grant-funded item, so we're going to get a mannequin everyone can practice many things on, from what I read.
Yes, ma'am. And I do want to kind of go along with your celebration. I would like to point out that last year, our graduates, in a year where we know it was very unpredictable, we finished virtually. Our pass rate was 95%.
Wow.
And the state of Missouri's pass rate was 87%. The national average was 83%. So I would love to give our instructors just a round of applause. They did a great job. This mannequin that we are going to get is considered a high fidelity mannequin. So when I do have a video, if you would like to see it later, it literally looks like a person. You can see the chest rise and fall, the eyes blink, you can sit this mannequin up. There's numerous different skills that we can do on this mannequin. So it truly gives the students an experience of caring for a patient in a safe setting, where they can do things to this patient that could cause a decline in their status, but it's in a safe environment. We will also, as part of this, is the simulation debriefing system, so the audio visual, where we can actually record what is happening in that simulation lab, and then afterward we use it as a teaching tool for our students. So we sit with them and we say, when you did X, Y, and Z,
And did you notice that this happened? What would have been a better choice? Why did you make that decision? We can ask some of those higher level thinking questions and get the student to reflect on it and actually see what they did rather than just saying, do you know when you did that? Well, no, because I was so nervous about what I was doing that I don't remember doing that. Well, let me show you, and let me show you a better way to do this. So the way that NCLEX is even moving is into a clinical judgment. So that is the licensing exam. This is going to help with that as well. When they have situations where they can enact their clinical judgment and we can help them and sort of steer them on the right path, it's also going to affect their pass rate later on in years to come. So this will affect not only now and our students now, but students in the future as well.
Is this mannequin, is this one that has like pre-recorded things that were to happen that someone would encounter in the field?
Yes. So one of the things that happens is with this software package that comes with the mannequin is it will give us different scenarios, and we will have an instructor that will actually manipulate the mannequin. So we can adjust the heart rate, we can adjust the respiratory rate, we can adjust those things as the students make decisions. And so it would be like a real person. What would happen if I pushed epinephrine to this patient? Well, I'm going to see different things happen with the cardiac system. So they are hopefully going to notice that because they're going to notice that the monitor is doing something different. They're going to actually be able to take the pulses of this mannequin, and those things that would happen in real life, they'll be able to experience.
It's almost like having a real patient on the table.
It is. Oh, they can make him die right in the middle of everything.
Yes.
Let's give him the sniffles and heart attack.
Yes. So that is actually one of the simulations is they come in and this person complains of indigestion, and in the middle of it, they actually have a heart attack, and you have to know what you needed to do.
It's like I've already been there.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what's the expected lifespan of this mannequin?
So I would say that one of the things that we look at is probably 5 years, as far as there are expendable parts of it that would have to be replaced, IV arms where we're doing, repetitive sticks, that type of thing. The updates and things will also be automatic for 5 years.
I saw that. I wanted to make sure that the mannequin lasted as long as the software and that you didn't have to buy a second one after 2 years.
Right.
Well, and I tell you what, in the great part of this, like when Dr. Moss was talking, that Franklin Tech Adult has been granted funding under CARES and COVID under the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. And then so this is going to fund this new simulation lab for our students at 100%. And how can you say no to this? This is amazing. And well, I tell you what, and the best part of this too is because we sat down and we brainstormed with our other faculty and staff, and it's like, what can we do to assist our students the best way due to the impact of COVID? One thing that came up with all of our healthcare or medical-based programs is no long-term care. They couldn't get the competencies on that. We couldn't go to the sites last last spring. This year they have been diminished greatly, and there's so much that we can do on simulations on the computer. But I tell you what, with the software there, but at the opportunity of this, oh my gosh! Oh, you even the skin.
Oh, yes.
This is neat.
Yes, part of it is also it has a geriatric skin, so that it actually makes students have to assess skin as we age. Our skin does change. The look, wrinkles, different things like that affects us as we age. There is actually a skin that goes on this mannequin, so we can do a younger person, we can do an older person. So it's pretty amazing.
Oh, it is.
With that, I'd make a motion that we approve items G7 and 8.
I will second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve items G7 and 8 in connection with our mannequin friend here. And I would suggest that his lifespan may be wholly dependent on the students.
98.75%.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we were all thinking the same thing. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you all for the great things you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the pass rates as well.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Great stuff. That brings us to our accounts payable. Dr. Langford and Ms. Toft.
Before they completely get away in the discussion, but, you know, I'm a short timer, but I've been around the area a long time, but I commend the Joplin board for the decision that it made to bring this program that had to exit Missouri Southern into this building and see the opportunities that are now being provided. It's much better for the students. It's working well, and it's serving our community, the needs of our community. So I commend the board for your support of that, and Dr. Moss and Carrie and all those that were involved. You've done a good job. The accounts payable, again, kind of speak for themselves. I would like to comment. We commented back earlier about the new reporting. It's not new now, you've had it, but how we condensed it. And we generally now, it takes 25% of the pages to give you the information because we're not talking about each lollipop. It's the compiled thing that was bought. And so I think it does give you a better opportunity. And if there's a big dollar item, it jumps out at you. And I commend Shelley the way she's put this together. But it's just better, to me, the more condensed we can get this, the better off it is. When we look at this month's bills, again, it's how many weeks are involved, how many payrolls. And we happen to be meeting earlier than last year, so we had fewer expenses. Last year, we spent at this meeting $5 million, I believe it was. And this year, at this year's meeting, we're asking you to only approve $2.9 million, I believe, for the total expenditure. Now, we prepare you that next month it's going to be a big number. It's kind of where it all falls. But when you look at the monthly statement, see that things are in line, and these things, just the ebb and flow depending on how the calendar falls, I would recommend that you approve the bills that have been presented. We'll have additional bills next month. I think we've got some bills that have to be paid coming up the next day or two, but they couldn't be on this particular agenda, but you'll see them next month. But they're very much in line with what the planned expenditures have been presented to you in the past. So I'd recommend, and we'd be glad to answer questions if you have them.
I'd move that we pay our bills.
Second.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our accounts payable as presented by Dr. Langford and Ms. Toft. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Professional development budget allocation, we'll stay with Dr. Langford and Ms. Toft.
What we're doing today, for those who have been in education a while, we all remember back when we used to open the school year and close the school year, and if we got all the textbooks turned in, we were pretty well done for the summer till the school year started, and then we handed out those textbooks to the next class coming in. But when the state of Missouri and it's going back to the Outstanding Schools Act of 1993 and going forward, and it makes perfect sense. There's no business entity that doesn't want its staff knowledgeable of what it is trying to do. It's just like what Shelley did in that presentation. And I told the two ladies before they left, what impressed me the most was the passion they have for what they're doing for kids. That's what we're doing, But you have to have some professional development to keep our staff up. So the state of Missouri years ago put a requirement in that 1% of your state funding, excluding classroom trust fund, which is the gaming money, but for us it would be $208,000 must be used for staff development. And if you don't use it, the penalty's pretty high. It would be over $23 million. You don't get any state funds. So we do have to do it. Last year, it was because of the COVID thing, because of the shutdown of people going to meetings and having people come in, the distancing. And when March came around, we just closed, the doors were closed. Well, when you started school, there was still more separation. You couldn't have speakers come in. We weren't sending. So there was a provision that was passed about 3 years ago And it really was to give school districts an opportunity for relief, and it would give you the ability to reduce from 1% to 50%. So for us, it's 104,000 instead of 208, of which you must spend 75%. And so it's not that we're trying to take any money away from professional development. But Sarah and Kathy Mock watch this like a hawk. They know how important it is. And for us to get that comply with the state, we need to exercise the option to allocate not 1%, but 5% to professional development, of which we have to spend 75%. And it's just there's just no way, we just can't spend it because we haven't sent it out. So we have the opportunity to do that. So it does require the board action to allocate for the current school year only 0.5% to PDC.
I would say a lot of that, the professional development, some of the things we had planned last spring became carryover. So they're still happening, but we're
This
not
year,
having to
right.
pay the bill this year because we didn't get it happen in the spring. So we're on a credit with some of those pro forma invoices.
Well, we had to cancel in the spring. They came in the fall and did it, is what she's saying.
So that's largely in part of it.
So what those monies then are just back into the budget, which are, we don't have to, we're excused from spending the amount we otherwise would have to spend. And this provision was a temporary, and this can be done through 2024, and then at that point, we'd be scrambling.
Motion to approve the professional development budget and allocation.
So moved, or second, I'll second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Derek. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this professional development budget allocation, a reduction of 1% to 0.5%. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Langford. Thank you, Ms. Mwangi. That brings us to the Kelsey Norman walk-in cooler freezer. Dr. Saketa.
Rick is here, and as a result of building on to Kelsey Norman, kind of makes sense that you would need a little bit more kitchen space. So Rick is going to talk to you about a way that we can access his capital outlay budget, which he is now, has been for a long time, but is making an even more concerted effort to keep on top of rotation of coolers and replacements and everything. So we've allocated money specifically for that in this year's budget, as you know, rather than kind of the way we did it in the past. It's going to become more of an ongoing thing. This is part of that.
Yeah, as we probably built that building 50, 60, 70 years ago, we probably didn't have breakfast. We did have a lunch program. You know, we now have a supper program. So with the addition of, you know, a lot of those meals, in came coolers, in came refrigerators, and in came freezers that went into the cafeterias and just took up a lot of space in our cafeteria. So, you know, I'm seizing the opportunity that towards the end of the year, making sure that budgets will be met at the end of the school year, and I didn't overspend my budget. And I forecast that we will have no problem funding our capital outlay budget for this current school year. So with that being said, you know, just kind of cleaning up our cafeteria, giving our staff a little bit more refrigerator and freezer space. So in doing that, you know, it will be a $31,450 expense that, again, is part of my budget anyway.
Is that a reasonable price? They were the only one that replied, so.
Yeah, it is. Last year or two, well, I can't remember how long it's been. When we did the early childhood edition, the refrigerator and freezer is about the exact same size. So, and it was right at $33,000 at that time. So, real, very, you know, I think it's very
looks good.
comparable.
I'd move to approve the walk-in cooler purchase.
Second.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of the cooler freezer for Kelsey Norman. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. That brings us to 8th grade Chromebook refresh. Dr. Saketa.
Well, as we talked to you much earlier about, the fact that we went down to the 6th grade level and then eventually the 5th grade level with Chromebooks, Eric had put together a rotation plan for us to keep them going, okay? And so I believe each year we're talking about 2 grade levels. Is that right, Eric? Right. And so this, based on getting this going over time, because we just brought Chromebooks into the high school, as you know, so we're not ready to exit them out. They've got at least a couple more years left after this one. This is our method to go back and start with the 8th grade and the 9th grade Chromebooks to cycle through. Eric, you want to visit about that a little bit?
Even though we just replaced the high school ones, we'll be able to move to 12th grade wherever we need them. And I was looking at maybe like virtual, and so they have their own stockpile plus fill in any gaps where we need it. But this way, we don't come to you in 4 years wanting to replace the whole high school. We'll do 8th and 9th, and then next year we'll do 7th and 9th, and then next year 6th and 9th, and then 5th and 9th. So just get everything into a rotational cycle, so asking for a whole bunch of money at the one time to replace a whole bunch of things.
I appreciate that.
And what I'm excited about too is we've got more devices in more kids' hands, a lot more kids' hands, and it's less costly than where we were at. So when kids get to high school, they should be well schooled on using the devices, and it should be just more about what the curriculum is, not about using the device.
What's the typical lifespan?
It's about 4 years. You may be able to get 5, maybe 6, but I would say I wouldn't push it past 4.
Okay.
Do I have a motion for items G12 and 13?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Derek and seconded by Mike that we approve our agenda items G12 and 13. Is there any discussion on those? Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
I was excited to close.
I think that I spoke over Dr. Ford. I apologize. That brings us to our plus deltas. I will mention that there is a school board candidate and then the candidate in the audience. This is the last meeting for, it is the last meeting, isn't it? For a couple of our school board members, Dr. Ford, who is here by telephone this evening, and of course, Lori Musser, who is on my right. I would like to thank them for their service. I'm deeply appreciative of it, and I thank Mr. Hartwell for being here this evening as an interested candidate. There is an election in the next month, and I hope that Joplin will roll out and vote their people of choice.
We'll be back for a little bit in April.
You just want your stuff.
I was going to say, they better come back.
Yeah, they
because
want to come back and
we
get
want
their
to
goodies.
recognize them officially.
Technically, she's not gone until the board reorganizes. You have to attend it.
Yes, we got to open the meeting.
I didn't mean to kick anybody
If you're leaving
off.
on
I can see the paper
Get
tomorrow.
rid of them early.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Are there any
Oh,
plus
no, I wanted
deltas?
to say, yes, I did want to
Yes.
say something. We had a huge loss at the high school and in our district this past week. So just wanted to mention that our JHS staff and students and the family of Mr. Welling, I know they're all hurting, and just wanted them to know that as a board, we're all thinking about them and with them and praying for them.
Yes, thank you for that, Lori. I had 2 students that were in the high school at the same time. He was there, and they just sang his praises. So
Incredible teacher.
We've lost a good man. Anybody else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So is there anyone I need to talk to?
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna say-
Bye-bye.